video game industry has exploded.
Video games.
Video games.
Video games.
It's video games.
Vicious, violent video games.
Finally tonight, the latest video game craze to sweep the United States, Japan. It's called
Deadlink. Let's do it. Before we get into the game, we need to have a heart-to-heart. Now, I'm coming to you as a friend here. Ask yourself a question and take a moment. Pause the video if you need. Be honest with yourself. How much of your gaming life is filled with frustration? Do you even recognize it? The live services, free-to-play, relentless battle passes, pay-to-win, vaulted content, cheaters, matchmaking, unfulfilled promises, exorbitant prices, FOMO, and so on. The engagement-focused manipulation of it all.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
These AAA companies have maneuvered brilliantly, planning all this garbage into your games at an almost imperceptible pace. Suddenly, you wake up years later, blinded by it all for so long, you forgot that better exists. I'm here to tell you, to remind you, it does. Enter Deadlink, the antithesis of modern gaming, the antidote to it. Deadlink strikes at the very essence of what it means to be a video game through and through. None of that modern gaming garbage is here. It's highly refined, focused on fun, fairness, and challenge. That's it. Now take a step back. I asked how much of your gaming life is filled with frustration, and hopefully you gave it some real thought. I described the frustration as guilt. Guilt you aren't playing more, progressing more, buying more. Guilt you aren't giving more of yourself to this thing you're both emotionally and financially invested in. But you know the thing about guilt, it's like a bag of bricks. All you have to do is set it down. And Deadlink shows you can, in fact, let go. So here's a sales pitch. For $25, you get the best pure shooter I've played since Doom Eternal. No joke. And you get the best roguelite I've played since Hades. It's received a very positive rating on Steam. It eschews all the modern gaming stuff, so no live service, no pay to win, no in-game shop, and no FOMO. Mechanically, it's incredibly tight and polished, soundly better than most AAA games. And it's the only game that's been installed on my PC for the last 2 years straight, going all the way back to its beta. That last point really highlights the niche Deadlink fills in my gaming life. You see, Deadlink harkens back to simpler times. It doesn't pretend or aspire to be anything more than it is. It doesn't want to be your second job. It aims to provide a frustration-free experience by cutting the fat and focusing on what really matters, the gameplay. It reminds me of those old school games, you know, Doom, Quake, Super Mario Brothers, where the incentive, the reward for playing is simply in getting better and beating it. You're not grinding for some silly title or skin or to finish a battle pass before it expires. Instead, Deadlink presents itself in a straightforward manner. This is our game, play it at your own pace, and see how good you can get. The simplicity of that, it's this refreshing feeling where you sort of say, wait a minute, so this is it and I just enjoy it? No ulterior motives here? We'll get into gory detail in the next section, but I wanted to take a few minutes to heap praise on Deadlink's gunplay. Where to even start? You see the obvious on screen: fast-paced, intense, brutal, unforgiving, thoughtful, and with a heavy emphasis on moment-to-moment decision-making. In the beta, I commented that Deadlink gunplay was near AAA level stuff. Well, I'm revising that opinion. It's better. It's phenomenal. Mechanically, both the gunplay and mobility are damn near unparalleled. So tight and polished. It's responsive, it's weighty, it's fluid. When you decide on an action and press that button, its effects are immediate. No funky hit registration, lag, bugs, or weird glitches. You don't feel like you're fighting mechanics, rather competing within a finely tuned system. But what sets it apart really can't be seen, only felt. Opportunities pop in and out of existence with each passing second, and the mental focus needed to take advantage of them is considerable. Like Doom Eternal, Deadlink has a distinct combat chess emphasis with a press W to heal mechanic. In terms of combat chess, you have to think several moves ahead and plan your attack so as to maximize value of your limited resources. Conversely, in terms of press W to heal, the game incentivizes you to be aggressive, but not in a chaotic way. In Deadlink, health doesn't regen. Instead, you're given a shield that can only be regenerated by killing timely, in proper order, and via proper methods. The dichotomy between those two things, thinking ahead but being strategic, compete against one another, and furthermore both compete against the pace of the game. It's a mental battle I thoroughly enjoy. Deadlink pushes and pushes, faster, more, harder, but you struggle mentally to keep your decision making at the same pace or greater. That back and forth tug of war is the essence of Deadlink. It asks, can you keep up? And with each successive test, that tug of war leans further and further in the game's favor. Like all games, you know you're competing against the system, but I'd argue great games go a step further. They make you feel like you're one with the system, not fighting against it, rather looking to match its rhythm, to play its game only better. The result is this incredibly satisfying back and forth synergistic experience. When you are on top of your game, staying ahead of that system, Deadlink doesn't feel easy or basic. It doesn't punish you for it, rather rewards you in that moment. It acknowledges you're better, and on screen, it's absolute anarchy. Now, I know Gunplay only goes so far. You want to build player power, and that's exactly what roguelites do in their own unique and brilliant way. As good as the FPS aspects are, it's the roguelite side that really provides the magic in-game that makes it so replayable. The beauty of the genre is that every few minutes, your character is getting more powerful per your choices, but the choices presented to you change, so each arena run is distinct and different. Sometimes you get the weapons, skills, or buffs you really want, or that'll really help, sometimes not. As a result, you have to be thoughtful in your decision making and figure out how to make the most of what's presented to you. The wrong choices can result in a quick and embarrassing death. The right choices, however, can make you feel like a god. So here's how it works in Deadlink. It starts with selecting a character. They're called combat shells, of which there are 4 to choose from, each with their own unique weapons and abilities and distinct playstyle. And while you'll undoubtedly settle on the one that really fits your desired playstyle, all are solid and most importantly, fun to play. Now, to get to the heart of the matter, we need to dig into player power, how it's obtained, how it works, and all that. It comes from 2 sources in Deadlink. Just 2. Are you ready? First, via combat shell upgrades. These are permanent buffs obtained back at the hub. Again, they're permanent, so once obtained, it's yours for all shells forever. The currency needed is obtained by simply playing the game. There's no in-game pay-to-win cash shop here. These permanent upgrades come in various flavors. Some apply to all shells, others are shell specific. Some have just 1 talent point, others have many, and the cost to obtain them increases the further down the matrix you go, but so does the power they provide. That's it for permanent upgrades. Pretty straightforward. It functions exactly as expected for any XP-based progression system. Play the game, get some XP, level up, whatever you want. All right, so that's the first one, permanent upgrades back at the hub. Now, this next part, the second source of player power, temporary buffs, this is where the sauce is made. This is where it all comes together. After you clear an arena, before moving on to the next, you'll be presented with several doors to choose from, and behind each is a different type of temporary buff for your character. And to be clear, these temporary buffs are obtained in and exist for just this run. You might get a weapon door, which lets you add different damage types, increase rate of fire, reload speed, or so on. You might see a heavy weapon door. There's a shell upgrade door, a medical door, one for XP, currency, a shop, challenges, and so on. You only get to choose one, so think it through. But do you see the trade-off and strategic implications here? You only get so many upgrades each run, so while spending them on things like med packs or XP might help you in the short term, long term, you'll ultimately have less power towards the end when it really matters. The most common and arguably most powerful temporary upgrade are implants. They come in a variety of flavors and can be leveled up to both boost their stats and add additional functionality. Now give this some thought because you can carry many implants, but what implants fit your playstyle? What fills a weak spot? What buffs an ability to broken levels? What will synergize well with others later? But make your selection, it brings you to your implant matrix. This is the final piece of this roguelite puzzle. Let's take it from the top. You get 4 rows, each corresponding to a different action and each with their own power output. So for example, on the first row, I can plug in implants with a power requirement of 1. The second row has 2 power, third, 3 power, and so on. As you plug implants in, you'll notice most have both active and passive effects. So how this works is, for example, in the first row, every time I swap weapons, any active effect on an implant in that row is activated. And yes, this is as abusable as you'd think. Passive effects, on the other hand, are always on. You can also purchase additional slots for each row, swap implants as desired, and carry unused implants. So are you seeing how it all comes together? You pick a combat chassis that suits your playstyle, power it up some via permanent buffs back at the hub, and then power it up even more in each arena with temporary buffs. And there's this constant tug of war between what you've got, what you want, and what you're actually offered. It's incredibly satisfying. And when you get it right, oh man, the power trip is immense. So, final thoughts. I know exactly what you're thinking. Scott, I've never heard of this game. It doesn't even look AAA. Can a $25 game really be that good? I don't even know if I have time for another game in my life. And that's the point. Therein lies the value. Deadlink is this perfect little self-contained experience. It has a small footprint in your life. It just sits there in the background, not demanding anything from you. You play it at your leisure. You play it at your own pace. It's insanely fun, and it doesn't change. There's no battle pass to chase or metas to worry about, no radical balance passes that'll totally change your favorite hero, no monetization. It's the perfect break from your favorite modern game. It's the perfect antidote to it, and in a way, the perfect complement to it. All the fun, none of the drama. And these are the sort of games that are gaining in popularity again for just those reasons. For me personally, and I suspect most of you, that escape, that regression back to the mean is what I really need and want in my gaming life. I'm just so burnt out on games being my second job. If you can't commit to the level the game demands, you watch something you're very passionate about walk off into the sunset without you for no reason other than you can't play it 40 hours a week or spend hundreds of dollars a year on it. But Deadlink gives you none of that. If you think hard enough, I'm sure everyone knows that feeling. A super fun game that is just a super fun game. Something you recognize as being built with the purest of intentions, a video game through and through. And there's a certain relief, a comfort in that simplicity. That core essence of gaming is what Deadlink wants to provide, and it does in fact deliver. It also has a free trial on Steam, so and with that, I'm done. I appreciate taking the time. Take care of one another, and I will see you soon.